Okay, hi guys, again, it's me. So I have figured out subtraction mode, and basically it's a lot simpler than I tried to make it out to be. So that's usually the case. We don't really need A, B, or C anymore, so we're just going to take those out and talk about it. Subtraction mode, of course, is your comparator with the third lead up in the up position. Turn it off. Of course, now you're in comparison mode. If you turn it back on, you're now back into subtraction mode. And of course, it's lit up. Okay, that's a comparator in comparison mode, and then of course the comparator in the subtraction mode. So looking at the comparator in the subtraction mode, it's kind of similar to the comparator when it's in regular mode as far as the input is concerned. So the input, of course, is the signal strength going into the back of the comparator from whatever your source is. If you are 5 blocks away, like I am, the comparator will actually receive a power of 10, because starting right here, here's my source input, that's 15 units of power, 14, 13, 12, 11, 10. So if you run your signs backwards, you can see that starting from back here, if I do my input, the signal will degrade to a power of 10 by the time it gets to the comparator. And even in subtraction mode, if there's nothing affecting it, the signal will simply go through the comparator and amplify, or not amplify, but allow it to go through as the same level that it receives, so it does not degrade the signal. It comes through as 10. So the real easy thing about subtraction is a lot more easier than I thought about, but it basically takes whatever signal you want to put into it on the side, either the left side or the right side, and it will subtract the power of this from the input power. So since I have 10 going in, I'm going to need something a little bit lower than 10. So let's start with here, 15, 14, 13, 12, 11, 10, 9, 8, 7. So we're going to give it a power of 7. So source starts here. Let's just count backwards just for fun. Source starts here, so this is a power of 15, 14, 13, 12, 11, 10, 9, 8, 7. So the signal will get down to a strength of 7 before it actually hits the comparator here. So our input is a signal strength of 10. We're going to subtract a signal strength of 7. So 10 minus 7 should obviously be 3. That's right, I did do my subtraction correctly, right? 2 minus 7 is 3. 10, 9, 8, 7, yes. So there you go. That's pretty much it. There's not much more to the subtraction mode than that. I thought there was, but I was totally wrong, and it's a lot easier than anticipated. So I was wondering, since the input here is 10 and I'm subtracting 7 here, could I subtract even more over here? Let's say I'm subtracting 7, so if I give it 15, 14, 13, 12, 11, 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. If I give it one more input, will it subtract the 7 and the 1 for a total of 8? So let's see. So I'm sending in the input of 1 to the side here. You can see it glowing just a little bit. And of course the 7 from this side, the input is still 10. So what do I get? I still get the 3. So what the signal is doing is just like in the comparator mode, it's taking the larger value of whatever is coming in as inputs on either side. So since this is the larger value of 9, or 7, excuse me, and 7, and this is the smaller value of 1, it basically ignores this one altogether. If I were to make this one bigger than the 7 that I have over here, so 15 minus 7 is 8, so I need 7, 15, 14, 13, 12, 11, 10, 9, 8, so we'll make this one the input of 8. So our signal going through is 10. I'm telling it to subtract 7 from this side. I'm also telling it to try to subtract 8 from this side. The comparator compares, the first thing it compares is the signals coming in on the affected side. It says 8 is greater than 7, so I'm going to use the power of 8. My input is 10. 10 subtract 8 is 2, so it outputs a power signal of 2, as you see right here. And through this, I can take out the signal from the side that's only 7, and you see that it's still being affected by 8. If I took out the side that was being affected by 8, now the only input is the 7, so it's comparing it against the 7, and the difference between the input of 10 and 7, of course, is output. I guess it's a niece, or granddaughter. So it does, just like the comparator, it doesn't matter what side you use. You can use both, and there might be some opportunities for logic where you do want to use both. If one or the other is greater than your input, then you want to block your input coming through. So lots of great opportunity for digital logic, digital circuits, which I know very, very, very little about. However, there's some awesome redstoners on YouTube that just are amazing with this stuff. So I'm just trying to get the basics down and trying to learn myself, and sometimes some of those videos on the simple basics like this are a little difficult for me to follow, so I'm trying my best to really make these a little more intuitive and easy to understand. So hopefully this will explain out a little bit what's going on. And so let's cover a couple more things that I forgot to cover. So we've got an input of 10. What happens if we get an input of 10 or greater? So let's see, 15, 14, 13, 12, 11, 10. So obviously you would expect it to be, since it's an input of 10 and a subtraction of 10, you would expect a 0 output, which we do. 10 minus 10 is 0. So if let me just bring this back one more time just to prove that we are working with the power of 10 here. So I just made it so it's a power of 9, so double check. 15, 14, 13, 12, 11, 10. Didn't count right. 15, 14, 13, 12, 11, 10, 9, 8. Alright, so I did it too many times. So here's the power of 9, just to show it really is 9. So input power of 10, subtract the influence power comparison signal of 9 is 1. If we take out 1, now I'm putting in 10 as the comparison, so 10 minus this 10 of course is 0. And then, as you would expect, if it's greater than 10, like 11, it's going to pretty much just stay off. So 10 minus 11 is obviously a negative 1. Of course, the repeater cannot represent negative 1 unless it actually took away from your input signal here, which would be kind of interesting and very confusing. Thankfully, Mojang did not try to do anything crazy like that. Hopefully, we won't give them any ideas to do anything crazy like that. So let's check the below. 15, 14, 13, 12. 10 minus 12 would be negative 2, so it's expect 0 output, which is true. And all the way up to 15, of course. So if I give it a full power input of 15, of course it's not going to allow the signal to come through at all. And that's true with any input. So if I'm subtracting a power of 15 on the input, doesn't matter if I got input on this side, this is going to be the largest input. If I put an input of 15 here, the best I'm going to get is 0. You can see there's not going to be any output. You can prove that by just putting a torch right there that lights up your, I'll go ahead and take this off. That lights it up all the way down to 16. I'm sorry, 15. So you got 15 there. That's your maximum output. And again, the input line of 15 is going to just bring it right down to 0. And since you're going to do maximum input, you don't have to have redstone dust. You can just do a switch. Well, maybe with the switch you do have to do redstone dust. My apologies. So with the switch you do need a redstone dust to represent the 15th power. There you go. So, most times we want to put signal into our comparators, or at least I do, without really thinking how much power I'm putting into it. So I'll just be like, okay, I need to get to this comparator, so I gotta do this many, here's my input from this other thing that I'm doing, so I'm just connecting the lines, and there you go, it's going forward. And then I'm like, alright, so I want to affect how much of the signal is going out, or whether this turns on or not, if this other thing over here is doing something. So I'm like, alright, I used to just do like, alright, I think I'm going to subtract this signal. So I was like, alright, so 1, 2, 3, 4 minus 1, 2, 3, 4, 0. That looked right. So then I would do like 4 minus 3 should be 1, but it's still 0. And then 4 minus 2 should be 2, but it's still 0. What's going on here? I don't understand it. So then I would, end up going backwards and, saying what's going on here, trying to figure all this out. So eventually, whatever I'm doing there is 5. Obviously, this is input of 10, so this is ultimately an input of 5 on this side. But I was trying to figure out, alright, how does this input, I wasn't even counting the power that's coming in, it's just the number of, that's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. How do I take, 15 minus 9 should be 6, but it's not. So couldn't figure it out. Anyway, we see this is an input of, what is this, 12? And this is 15, 14, 15, 12, 11, 10, 9, 8, 7. So 12 minus 7 would be 5, so we should have a signal strength of 5. And there we go, it is indeed a signal strength of 5. So now we know how to do it correctly, what it really means, and it's pretty cool. Again, if I put a signal, if I put input on this side, it's not going to make any difference whatsoever unless this signal strength is larger than the signal strength that I'm putting over here. So do keep that in mind. That can become very valuable as well, because you might have circuits that come on and off. So if this logic over here, let's say, is doing something and it is on, and you want to make it compare against the logic of whatever this is doing over here, see if it's even on a Boolean logic. So if this comes on, 15, 14, 13, 12, 11, 10, and it's stronger than the other input, you'll see that you'll get an output of 2. However, if this is off, you'll get an output of 5. So just from the output of this comparator, you can know which of these two circuits is activated. Okay? So if, as we're looking towards this mountain here, there's my other contraption from up and way long ago. If the left side is on, then the output would only be 2. If the right side is on, then the output would be 5. So I could put some logic out here. I just run the signal out to do something else, if I make a piston go up or do something like that, and then fire some logic here. And then I could put an AND gate on these two. Like if both of them are lit up, then I know that this is the signal that I want. If only this one is lit up, then I know this is the signal that I want. That lets me know what's going on. So lots of fun things you can do with it. So once you learn the basics on how these things work, then you can get some ideas on how to go crazy with it. Hopefully that helped out. Hopefully it didn't confuse you any more than you already were if you didn't know how these things worked already. And I appreciate the time.